strategy. Now, recently, you called the Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler a, quote, political liability to the United States. You said he's acting in the interests of citizenry or the long-term growth of the economy, that he's not acting on behalf of customers and users. Tell us more.
Well, look, I think Gary Gensler has prioritized hiring more lawyers to litigate the industry. And this is often described as, or kind of regulation through enforcement. If we just took the time to codify rules of the road, most of the industry in crypto wants to follow the rules of the road. Countries around the world have leaned in. Even the European Union, 27 countries in the European Union have come together to create a construct for how crypto should be regulated. In the United States, we haven't done this work. I jokingly suggested maybe what we should just do is type into ChatGPT, how should the U.S. That's more than the U.S. SEC has done. And it's frustrating. And I think, I guess yesterday there was a court hearing between Coinbase and the SEC. And the judicial system continues to slap down the SEC because they're overreaching. They're overstepping what the laws say.
Brad Garlinghouse has not stopped criticizing Gary Gensler, the chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission, for his negative opinions on cryptocurrencies. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and CEO of Ripple, has questioned the harsh regulatory attitude in the cryptocurrency market. He thinks the U.S. may benefit from purchasing inexpensive tea to acquire guidance on how to run the industry. Brad Garlinghouse says Gensler's first priority is hiring more lawyers rather than creating clear regulations. According to Garlinghouse, Gensler is a political liability for the United States of America. During the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse spoke with Fox Business. He discussed the implications of the recently announced Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, as well as the regulations that will govern cryptocurrencies in the future. The CEO of Ripple characterizes this move as a strategy for regulation through enforcement. Garlinghouse claims that the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission has prioritized hiring additional lawyers to pursue the business. The divisions that make up the Securities and Exchange Commission are the Enforcement Division and the Corporation Finance Division. Garlinghouse's criticism of the CC's regulatory policy is evident in the various proceedings the Commission has brought against cryptocurrency companies in the last 3 years. The firms that the Securities and Exchange Commission has filed lawsuits against are, among others, Grayscale, Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, and Ripple. Most cryptocurrency companies want to abide by the rules of the road, but only if U.S. authorities are in charge of establishing them, according to the chief executive officer of Ripple, who voiced reservations about the SEC's regulatory approach to the sector. As Gary House mentioned, countries all around the world have begun to take steps to control the cryptocurrency industry. This is something to keep in mind. One of these attempts resulted in the European Union adopting the first comprehensive set of legislation pertaining to cryptocurrency regulation. It should be emphasized that companies looking to produce, protect, and exchange stable coins, cryptocurrencies, and tokenized assets within the borders of the 27 European states need to apply for a license in order to legally operate. Garlinghouse asserted that the United States of America has not finished any of these projects, despite the fact that some areas are making progress in the regulation of cryptocurrencies in the country where there is uncertainty about regulatory problems. In a playful way, I propose that maybe we could just bring up the topic of how the U.S. should regulate cryptocurrencies. After all, it goes beyond what the SEC has already accomplished. The Securities and Exchange Commission, a mission has been the target of legal criticism. According to the chief executive officer of Ripple, Garlinghouse suggested that the nation utilize Chat, a well-known artificial intelligence chatbot, to get guidance on how to run the Bitcoin industry. Garlinghouse continued by claiming that Gensler, the CEO of Ripple, has been operating against the will of the people, and that his claim that cryptocurrency technologies are here to stay is based on his own agenda. He continued, citing Garlinghouse nations like Japan as additional proof that this is the case, and the recent approval of a number of exchange-traded funds. Due to the fact that they possessed Bitcoin spot exchange-traded funds, their lawsuit against Ripple and Grayscale was unsuccessful. While the United States courts frequently seek clarification on cryptocurrency matters, Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom have all made great strides in regulating their own businesses. To be clear, This has, in my opinion, evolved into a political agenda in the U.S. rather than a goal for policy. He went on, stating the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, discussed his thoughts on Jamie Dimon's CO of G. Porn comments, as well as the recent acceptance of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. In an interview with Fox Business, Jamie Dimon criticized Garlinghouse harshly, but he countered that, although new technologies like cryptocurrencies may attract dishonest people, they also offer major advantages and should not be dismissed completely. Garlinghouse's reasoning was in line with Dimon's criticism. A malicious actor will use any tool. He went on to stress the significance of appreciating the potential and beneficial effects of cryptocurrencies. Meanwhile, Garlinghouse also emphasized the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's recent approval of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. Referring to the growing interest in Bitcoin assets from both government agencies and institutional investors, he called this accreditation a very big deal and described it as a substantial confirmation for the cryptocurrency business. He said that BS will employ any new technology and that Ripple solely collaborates with licensed financial institutions and opposes anonymous transaction processing. According to Garlinghouse, there appears to be a movement in the acceptability of cryptocurrencies from the fringe to the mainstream. Additionally, he went into detail about Ripple's place in this changing landscape and described how the blockchain's innovations are assisting financial institutions in lowering the cost and increasing the efficiency of international payments. In the interview, Garlinghouse voiced his displeasure with American regulation, concentrating on Chairman Gary Gensler's approach to the Bitcoin industry in contrast to other nations' more proactive strategies. He charged Gensler with putting litigation ahead of a well-defined regulatory structure. Garlinghouse insisted on legislation that prioritizes performance and behavior over technology. He emphasized the significance of anti-money laundering protocols such as Know Your Customer and KYC. The approval of the exchange-traded fund is an indication of the enduring power of cryptocurrencies, and it is imperative that the United States of America acknowledge and comprehend this developing asset class.